All right, I want to thank everybody for coming out to the NILE Stock Show for the Shorthorn show today. I tell you what, we've got a little bit of a deal here we need to do here. We are going to dedicate the whole Shorthorn show in loving memory of Easton Jones. As most of you know that we lost him last week, and we're sure sorry about that, but I'm going to read a little bit about Easton here. Easton Jones was an up-and-coming young cattleman taken from this earthly place far too soon on October 4, 2025 in a tragic car accident. Easton proudly wore his faith in Jesus for all to see through his actions, his words, and his heart. His favorite verse was 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God did not just give us a spirit of fear, but the power of love and a sound mind." Faith was the foundation of Easton's life. From a young age, he was active in his church, playing basketball, attending youth group every week, and taking part in Beartooth Christian Camp. On February 18th, 2024, Easton was baptized and dedicated his life to the Lord, a moment that filled his heart with pure joy and purpose. Easton's love for sports was boundless. He played basketball for both his church and school, wrestled with his local AAU program and later for his school, and began football on a traveling team before proudly representing his hometown school. Track and field was another passion, especially pole vaulting and running the 800, where he dreamed of competing at the state level this year. Easton had countless friends and no enemies. His magnetic personality drew people in. He made everyone feel seen and valued, no matter who they were or where they came from. Whether at a sale barn or a sporting event, Easton always seemed to find someone he knew. His contagious smile could light up any room and melt even the toughest hearts. Easton's generosity knew no limits. He would gladly give away his new football cleats to a teammate in need or spend hours tutoring friends just to keep them eligible to play. Born to be a cattleman, Easton found joy and purpose working alongside his grandpa, Rocky McCaffrey. Even as a little boy, he loved feeding cows, often dozing off in the passenger seat of a feed truck. He could be found running the swather, pushing cattle out of the brush, or spending his school days on the ranch, so often that the school marked his absences simply ranch. A proud 4-H member, Easton loved showing his animals and constantly researched ways to improve. He was excited to show his heifer at the NILE this year, and he had big plans for the future, taking over the ranch, buying out his sister's share, and growing his herd. Easton will be deeply missed by everyone who knew and loved him. His faith, kindness, and love for life will forever be remembered. Though his time here was short, his impact will last a lifetime. We take comfort in knowing that he is in heaven smiling down on us. Buddy, we love you, and we can't wait to see you again. With that, again, we would take a moment of silence here and just remember With that, I'd like to say a prayer as well. Dear Jesus, Lord, thank you for putting Easton in everybody's lives and the impact that he had on everyone who knew him and got to meet him, Lord. We thank you for the time that we got to spend with him, and we know that he's in a better place, and we just pray for all the people that he left behind. Please help them to remember to live in a way that he would be proud, and please help us just to continue on his legacy, and please help us to have a good show here, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. With that, we are going to kick off class number 1. This is going to be the Shorthorn Plus Spring Bull Calves, born January 1st, 2025. Cooper Clark, you can come on in out of Missoula, Montana. He's going to be showing CHC Sweethearts Cupid.
As this young man's pulling this bull in, one we got to evaluate yesterday, I believe, a really practical made individual, huge bodied in terms of his rib shape and design, fluid enough in terms of his movement. We maybe want to strengthen him up a nickel there in behind his shoulders, but a really nice individual to start off our bull show. If you would, give this young man a round of applause.
You betcha, nicely done there. Cooper Clark will win the class right there with CHC Sweethearts Cupid. Next, we're going to move into class number 3. This is going to be the Shorthorn Plus Summer Yearling Bulls, born May 1st to August. Cohen Cahoon, if you want to come on in from Charlotte, Montana, he's going to be displaying SMMT Endless Fame right here. After this class, then we'll go right into the Yearling Bull Champion.
Another individual we saw yesterday, I believe, in one of the shows. We talked about how fresh he is and how good his neck comes out of the top side of his shoulder there. He's fluid in terms of his movement. Really appreciate the flexibility and the set and travel off of his hind leg, how clean he is in terms of his underline and his sheath, and it's great in terms of his testicular development. We'll bring that calf back in here momentarily just to pick your champion in reserve. Congratulations to this young man.
Absolutely. Congrats to Cohen Cahoon. He's going to win that Yearling Bull Champion right there with SMMT Endless Fame. Now we're going to roll in with the previous champion, and we're going to figure out who's going to be the champion Shorthorn Plus Bull.
Get these two high-quality individuals out here vying for our champion in reserve, and the young man gets him pulled together a little bit better right there. Gives us quite a bit better look. Again, really appreciate the body type and kind of that bull and just his practicality and functionality. Maybe not quite as neat in the way he wants to toe out of his front two. We prefer the length, the extension, freshness, and just the levelness of lines in the big bull. He'll be your champion young man with the calf, be your reserve. Give these two young guys a big round of applause and congratulate them.
All righty, so your reserve champion Shorthorn Plus Bull will be Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana with CHC Sweethearts Cupid. And congratulations to our champion Shorthorn Plus Bull. That will be Cohen Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana, showing SMMT Endless Fame. Congratulations, guys, on a couple good set of bulls right there. Now we're going to move into class number 6, the Shorthorn Plus Junior Heifer Calves, calved February 2025. Looking for Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana. Going to be showing SMMT Cayenne 503N right here.
What a great way to start off our show here. This female just looks so ladylike, and I appreciate that added presence and elegance there from her shoulders forward, the turn to her rib cage that she has, and yet so fresh for a little heifer calf. We really appreciate her to have that much to her, but one that gives you just an incredible look here from a silhouette perspective. We'll get some more competition out here for her momentarily. Congratulations to her.
All righty, nicely done. Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana with SMMT Cayenne 503N will be your class champion right there. Congratulations. Let's go to class 7. It'll be Shorthorn Plus Early Spring Heifer Calves, calved in January. We got Tucker Burke out of Great Falls, Montana, showing TB Lollipop. And then Megan Evolo from Ronan, Montana is going to show Love MS Miss Royalty. And Then we got Keelan Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana, going to show SMMT Cookie and Dreams 5. Some of these names are giving me a sweet tooth here. Going to be out of breath by the time he gets to the ring. And then following this class will be class number 8. So if Cash Landers from Miles City, Montana, kind of have it on your mind, we'll be coming to you after this class. Once again, guys, we do want to thank all of our good sponsors. If you look around this arena, there's a lot of great sponsors that are on the fence, and it wouldn't be possible without them. So if you see one up there and they've got a product that you might need, feel free to support them because they're sure supporting us, I guess.
Really nice class of these spring heifer calves. We're going to use the really loud marked heifer to start with here. I think just from a pattern and silhouette, a female is just so elegant and again extended from her shoulders forward. She's got some depth and spring of her body right there. Super square off her hooks to her pins. And I think the thing that kind of gives her the stamp of approval in my mind is just that she's easily the soundest in terms of her structure off either end of a skeleton. I'm not saying she's the most powerfully constructed, and I'll be the first to admit that that's going to be a very large bred heifer. We'd maybe want to tone her down in terms of her growth curve, but that heifer's still just so complete, and again, her structural advantages give her the win in this particular class. The heifer that's in 2 there got a little more dimension running down her top and out of her upper hip there from a muscularity standpoint. She's not quite as neat and easy and moving and correct in the angle of her shoulder out of her front end. Doesn't want to pick her head up and go, but still a heifer that gives you the look of quality. Still got a really neat hip and hind leg on her. The young man's got a really dense individual to be 3rd there. She's bold and deep in terms of her rib shape and design. She's just significantly shorter and chuffier through that front 1/3, and it goes with her as you view her from behind. She's shorter and steeper out of her hip and not nearly as coordinated off of her rear too. Give those kids a big round of applause with and congratulate them on their heifer calves.
You betcha. Nicely done, guys. Here's how that shook out. 3rd place is going to go to Tucker Burke out of Great Falls, Montana, showing TB Lollipop. 2nd's going to go to Megan Avilo from Ronan, Montana, with Love MS Miss Royalty. And the winner of that class, congratulations, will be Keelan Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana, showing SMMT Cookie and Dreams 5. We're going to roll right into class number 8. That's going to be Cash Landers out of Miles City, Montana. He's going to be showing SMMT Lasting Charm 4.
single entry fall yearling heifer calf here, and one that, again, we appreciate her maturity and her substance. Female that's really got a lot of dimension down her top and out of her upper hip. Maybe not quite as chiseled up through that front 1/3 as a couple we've seen yet today, which doesn't necessarily bother me because she still looks ladylike, where I'd like to reconstruct her, just lay her a little bit more back in the angle of her shoulder, get a little more flexibility off of her rear too. But one that's really true and bold in her rib shape and her dimension of muscle. Congratulations to him on his class winner.
Well, congratulations to the young cattleman from Miles City, Montana. Cash Landers wins that class. Next, we're going to get all of them back here to figure out who's going to be our heifer calf champion and reserve heifer calf champion.
Three really nice class winners out here that the kids have brought before us. And again, to go over them real briefly, the red heifer down here, really young and youthful, and appreciate that. I love how much boldness in terms of her body shape that she has for her added youthfulness and still so fresh in terms of her kind. Where I think maybe she has the division leading advantages to me is just her added femininity. I think she's better about her head and her neck there, just looks more ladylike, a little more productive look to her. She's bolder in terms of her rib shape. I think she has more natural dimension running down her top and out of her hip. Now, is she perfect at the ground in terms of the way she wants to set and travel? I'd maybe tweak her a couple places, but a female that has quite a few division leading advantages. No doubt, the black and white heifer just stunning here from the profile in terms of a one-dimensional silhouette, so web-headed and so long in terms of her lines. Got a really neat set to her hock. Where I probably appreciate her is the flexibility that she has at the ground in terms of her pasterns. I would love to pull that one apart and make her more three-dimensional, more true outward curvature to her rib shape. Probably want to tone her down in terms of her growth curve if we can. The yearling heifer calf here that the young man's got here, again, one that's expansive in terms of her rib shape and her muscularity. Probably doesn't come close to these other two from a structural soundness standpoint. She's just more upright off either end of her skeleton. For me today, the one that most suits my kind, the young lady down here with the red heifer will be your champion. Black and white one will be reserved. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations on a whale, a set of heifers right there. Your reserve heifer calf champion is going to be Kayleen Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana, showing SMMT, Cookies and Dreams 5. Congratulations. And your heifer calf champion will be Tassin Wright from Roberts, Montana, showing SMMT Cayenne 503N. Congratulations on a great heifer right there. Next, we're going to roll to class number 9. This is going to be Shorthorn Plus Summer Yearling Heifers, calved in May 1st. We've got Cassie Baker out of Charlotte, Montana. She's going to be showing SMMT, Sherry's Legacy. And class number 10, Maddie Rogers from Casper, Wyoming. If you can have it on your mind, we'll be coming to you next.
really high quality single entry May summer heifer here, just from the top and point of her shoulder back. We just love that added depth and spring of her rib shape and design, the boldness to her rib. I think she's got plenty of dimension of muscle. Just really done a nice job of managing this heifer and getting her presented to the best of her ability. Congratulations to that young lady.
Nicely done, Cassie Baker from Charlotte, Montana with SMMT, Sherry's Legacy. You're going to win that class. Next, we're going to move to Maddie Rogers from Casper, Wyoming. She's going to be bringing us MSR Sprinkles 4200 right here. And we're going to have Easton Jones out of Columbus, Montana as well. He's going to bring Soko Pimpin' Mercedes right here.
Two really high quality individuals, and I think there's lots of similarities in the way these two animals are built, just but miles apart from a presentation perspective. The young lady's heifer here that we're going to start with, I think not only is she just overwhelming in terms of her center body mass and dimension, her length and extension down her top and out of her hip, but she's definitely stouter, heavier structured as we go to the ground. Is she perfect in terms of her angles off either end of her skeleton? Maybe not, but I think where these two heifers have their similarities, there's more in nearly every aspect of this heifer, whether it's body, muscle, and substance and dimension to the ground. The young lady's heifer calf, again, super feminine in terms of her kind and her feature, maybe a little more frailer, reserved in terms of her kind, a little flatter as she goes down to the ground. When she gets up underneath herself just a nickel more than our class winner, we'd like to change her from the point of her hock down to the ground. But an outstanding pair of heifer calves. Give these two young ladies a round of applause. Congratulations.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's pretty emotional right there. Congratulations, Easton Jones. I'm sure he's smiling down right there. He gets the class win with Soko Pippin Mercedes. And special thanks to Danny Hess for showing her today. And we also want to thank all the friends and family and everybody that Easton impacted throughout the years. Thanks for coming and supporting today. We really appreciate that. Next, we're going to go to class number 11. That's going to be Emerson Kleppe from Husson, Montana. Going to be bringing Burntwood, Catalonia. And then we also got Cooper Klepp from Husson, Montana with Burntwood QC3B Pegasus. That's a mouthful right there. Had to look that up. Husson, Montana does exist. They say it's not the edge of the world, but you can see it from there, that's for sure.
I'm going to use the blue roan heifer of the pair in the ring here at the moment. Again, I think this heifer is not only deeper, softer, bolder. She's carrying a nickel more condition and would have that advantage from that regard. But a female that we just like the boldness and broodiness to her rib shape and design, the functionality that she has. I think she's a little bit neater in the way she wants to set, plant, and drive off of her rear leg than the female that's in two. I'll be the first to admit you'd love to sleek her up and freshen her up through that front 1/3, but still so much brood count in that one they can't give up. The young lady's heifer, again, she's neater and tidier up through that front 1/3, but from there back, you sacrifice all that substance, mass, and dimension with that added look through that front 1/3. Where I maybe get more critical on the one that's in second here is just she's flatter down into her stifle and gets up underneath herself in terms of her hind leg movement. But a nice pair of heifer calves. Congratulations to those two ladies.
Well, congratulations to you guys. Second in class is going to go to Emerson Klepp with Burntwood Catalonia, and the winner of that class will be Cooper Klepp with Burntwood QC3B Pegasus. Congratulations. Now we're going to bring everybody back and figure out which one's going to be our champion yearling female and our reserve champion female.
Really nice lineup here in this junior yearling division here, but I do think it's kind of a two-horse race between these two down here. The black heifer, we just love how bold and maternal and smooth she is in terms of her balance. Female, we really appreciate the added sleekness on top of side of her neck and the sides of her neck there. Just worlds of maternal rib cage there into her. Maybe not nearly as powerfully constructed as the female that come out of the next class in terms of a muscle mass and her dimension and structure to the ground. I appreciate this one in terms of being a little toe and a nickel straighter up front on the black heifer, maybe a little more refined in terms of her bone work there to the ground. No doubt that the loud marked roan heifer here is just overwhelming in terms of her substance and her mass. She is just huge topped and big ended and powerfully constructed, and her bone work there matches that to the ground. Again, maybe not quite as ladylike up from her shoulders forward. We maybe like to reconstruct her a nickel out of her front too, but I just think there's so much more quality in these two heifers up here than the nice females that we have yet to remain. We're going to leave these as they are. The young lady with the black heifer be your champion. The young lady with the loud roan be your reserve. If you would congratulate this at this time.
Well, I tell you what, reserve champion yearling female goes to Easton Jones, and I'm sure he's smiling down right out of Columbus, Montana with Soko, Pippin, Mercedes, and special thanks to Danny Hespershoner, did a great job. That's going to be your reserve champion yearling female, and your champion yearling female is going to go to Cassie Baker out of Charlotte, Montana with SMMT Sherry's Legacy. Good job, guys, on a super tough pin right there. Way to bring quality. Good job. Next, we're going to go to Class 13, the Shorthorn Plus cow-calf pairs. Cows born January 1st, 2021. We got Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana. And he's going to bring HSH Sweetheart right here.
As we get this cow-calf pair out here, us, the young man, this is her first calf, and I'd say she's doing remarkable in terms of just holding her condition. If we don't give her any other credit for anything else, she's done a great job raising a super high quality, two-time reserve breed champion, I think, here in the last 2 days already. She's just done an incredible job of holding her own in terms of her body shape and condition. And another thing I want to admire that the two young gentlemen here were competitors a minute ago in the bull show. Here we are helping each other out. That's what it's all about. But a great place to be our division champion right here. Congratulations to these guys.
You bet. You talk about a little chrome right there. Nicely done. Cooper Clark wins that class with HSH Sweetheart. He's going to take first in that class. And he's also going to be the grand champion cow-calf right there. So congratulate him. Nice job, guys. Now we're going to roll into class 14. We're looking at spring. Alrighty, now we're going to have SMMT Cayenne 503N by Tassie Ride out of Roberts, Montana. And then we're going to have SMMT Sherry's Legacy by Cassie Baker out of Charlotte, Montana. Then we're going to have HSH Sweetheart by Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana. And we're also going to have SMMT Cookies and Dreams 5 by Kayleen Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana. And then we're going to have Soko Pippin Mercedes by Easton Jones out of Columbus. Once again, guys, we do want to thank all of our good sponsors here. And also just a friendly reminder, we do have Next Level Images out of Mount Pleasant, Texas. They're our exclusive photographers for the 2025 NILE Stock Show. All champion and reserve breed champions are required to have their backdrop photos taken. And everyone's welcome and encouraged to have their photos taken at the backdrop. All photos, ring, and backdrop will be available to view in the northeast corner of the Expo Center. Please let them know if you need anything specific while they're here throughout the week. And as a reminder, please no photography at the backdrop or ringside. Thank you. Also, and you can find those images at www.nextlevelimages.com. Also, a reminder for all the champions, grand and reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vests. And special thanks to our good friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these awards. It would not be possible without you.
Really nice lineup as we get these champion and reserves back out here, and just worlds of diversity as maybe you would expect with just the genetic makeup of these cattle. But I think regardless of the direction of your breeding program, you can take these cattle and mate them. You're going to be in a competitive circle one way or another just because of the basics that these cattle bring to the table. The red heifer that we have here to come out of that first division, I just liked her added combination of her maternal strengths with that added look and extension here from the profile. I think she's just so youthful and ladylike about that front 1/3, super maternal in terms of the rib shape and design that she has to her center portion of her body, and really correct in terms of the set and travel off of her hip and hind leg. We've got a bigger, maybe outlined, longer skeleton to upgrade there to her to reserve in terms of a silhouette. Just doesn't come with the much true three-dimensional shape in her rib and her dimension of muscle. I think it's just a competitive duo here out of that junior yearling division. The black and white heifer here broadside to me, just so complete. They've got her dialed in terms of her condition. I think she's about 12 o'clock. Really competitive up through that front 1/3 in terms of her look. It's not chiseled out to the point maybe of being hard doing or anything, but I think there's one that's really neat in the way her neck is made on the side and top of her crest right there. Just so smooth in her transition from shoulder to full rib into her center body width and dimension and capacity. capacity. She's so square from hooks to pins, and just to admire the way that she gets around the ring with her added mobility. Again, we got one that's probably a little more a power upgrade to her that's reserved, more pulled apart down her top and out of her hip. Definitely takes that power and that added structure to the ground, as she's just heavier from that regard, but a really competitive pair. The cow, the young man's done a good job. Again, we talked about her doing a great job of getting her mated, getting her bred up, Kev, on time. He's done an incredible job of keeping this female in her good running gear, and we appreciate that about her, and got a two-time champion there nursing her. The big coupon, I think, might be as neat as any. With that said, I think there's just two heifers that fit me and the type and kind. We're going to keep these two together out of that junior yearling division. Congratulations to those two ladies.
Alrighty, congratulations. Our reserve champion Shorthorn Plus female goes Soko Pippin Mercedes, owned by Easton Jones and showed by Danny Hess. Congratulations. What an emotional, exciting thing there. Our grand champion is Shorthorn Plus female is going to be SMMT Cayenne 503N, shown by Tassie Wright out of Roberts, Montana. SMMT Cherry's Legacy by Cassie Baker out of Charlotte, Montana. Congratulations and nicely done, guys. Now we're going to roll right into class number 14. This is going to be the Spring Bull Calves, born January 1st, 2025 and after. We're going to go with Megan Avilio from Ronan, Montana. She's bringing us Love MS, Hey Good Lookin'.
Single entry here the young ladies brought to us. Again, extremely attractive through that front one-third. Really, really bold and round in terms of his rib cage and design. In fact, it might be a little more advanced than he even is as his maturity pattern. Maybe it doesn't want to quite fit him at the time. We'd like to see him maybe just a nickel heavier from a performance standpoint at this point in time, but a really nice made individual. Congratulations to her.
All right, nice job. Megan Avelo from Ronan, Montana. She's going to win the class right there with Love MS, Hey Good Lou. She's also going to be your bull calf champion. Next, we're going to go to Class 16, Summer Yearling Bulls, born May 1st through August 31st of 2024. We've got Keelan Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana. She's bringing us SMMT 407M right here. Also, just a friendly reminder, if you've got loved ones who couldn't make it today, you can watch this live from home at ringsidelive.co. ringsidelive.co.
Really nice, mature bull here that the young ladies brought to us. I think just incredible in terms of his outline. He's so strong, yet relaxed in his top line. Really, really square from hooks to pins. Got a really attractive hind leg set on him. Maybe not as massive as you'd like to see from the like the point of his heart back through the rear rib and flank, but a bull that gives you just an incredible look and got the right angles off either end of his skeleton. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Keelan Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana. She's gonna win that class. Plus, she's gonna be your yearling bull champion as well.
Correct.
Next, we're gonna go to Class 19, late spring heifer calves, calved on or after March 1st. Excuse me, we're gonna have the grand champion bull drive right here.
Get these two individuals back out here. This big bull just really, really good to look at in terms of just his sheer balance aspect. bull that's just so long and level in terms of his lines and top line and square from hooks to pins. I think he's just neater and more coordinated in the way he's built from hooks to pins and off of his hind leg. I think he's a great place to start with your champion, and the young lady with the bull calf will be your reserve. Congratulate these two young ladies.
Alrighty, congratulations. Your reserve grand champion bull is going to go to Megan Avelio for Ronan, Montana with Love MS. Hey, good Lou. And your grand champion bull is going to be Kayleen Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana, bringing us SMMT 407M. Congratulations, guys. Next, let's move into Class 19, late spring heifer calves, calved on or after March 1st. We're going to have Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. They're bringing us RRCC Raylene 5096.
Really neat heifer calf here to start our Shorthorn show off, and I just love her in terms of her rib cage and design, and the fact that she looks like a maternal brood cow, real ladylike and female about her front 1/3. Maybe wanting to show her first show jitters here a little bit in the way she's standing at the moment, but I think a female that's got lots of basics to build upon. Congratulations to her.
Well, congratulations to Rocky Ridge Cattle Company out of Casper, Wyoming, bringing us a real good one right there. RRCC Raylene 5096. Congratulations. Next, we're going to go to Class 21 Senior Heifer Calves, calved September 1st to December 31st of 2024. We're going to go to Reese Cobb Kaler from Cheyenne, Wyoming, bringing us CGS Mavericks Miss Allie. And then we're going to have another one brought to you by Reed. And that one's going to be CGS WW Augusta Pride 51. Kind of sounds like I'm calling a football play right there.
Really like this dark red heifer here to start this class off with. I think she's just a little more toned down in terms of her size and scale, maybe a little more appropriate to me as we project her into mature cow size. I think beyond that, that female's softer, bolder in terms of her rib shape. I think it's just more proportional in terms of her size. Love her in terms of her hip design and the way she goes off of her hind leg. A really great place to start. The young lady's heifer, undoubtedly larger scaled, bigger outlined, longer lined individual. She's just more mature and longer about her head. I'd like to match her, give her some more rib and dimension of body from her elbow right there in her heart, back in her rear rib and flank to go with that added scale and size. Female's really, really powerfully constructed from a muscularity standpoint, but we just need to tone her down and give her a little more rib and shape and dimension to make her more proportional. Congratulations to both those exhibitors.
All righty, second in the class is going to be Reese Cobb Kaler with CGS Mavericks Miss Allie. And your winner of that class will be Reed Cobb Kaler out of Cheyenne, Wyoming with CGS WW Augusta Pride 51. Congratulations, guys. Now we're going to roll into the heifer calf champion, figure out who's going to be the reserve and who's going to be the champion.
get you up to speed on what we're doing here. The white heifer there was not in the program, and we had failed to get her out here, but she's her own class winner, so we're just going to evaluate her out here for this calf champion. So we've got, I believe, an April, February, and then our fall yearlings here, just to give you a general idea of what we're got. I know the white one maybe surprises some of you just coming back out. But the first heifer calf, we talked about her moderation, the boldness in terms of her body shape. I love the three-dimensional arch and curvature to her rib shape. Maybe doesn't balance up quite as well as a couple others in terms of right in behind her shoulders and that added length and extension to her hip, but that's being awful nitpicky of a really high-quality individual. The white one, as we get to come out and get an interpretation of her, I think here's one that's extremely sound in terms of her angles. I think she's green and fresh and youthful in terms of her condition. I love the added body depth and rib shape that she has, the squareness from her hooks to her pins, and the beautiful set that she has off of her hind leg. Maybe not as pulled apart and muscular as a couple of these others out here, but just balances up so well. The heifer calf that won that fall yearling class, we talked about her being a little more toned down in terms of her maturity pattern and her growth curve, and I just think she's more proportional with that. She's bolder and truer and deeper in her rib shape and design. She's squarer and fuller out of her hip, ties in a little neater from stifle to stifle. For me, the one that I like the most on the stand is the white one will be your champion. Young man with that senior heifer calf will be reserved. Congratulations.
All right, your grand champion right there is going to be Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana, with Right Noise, SoCo Manhat. And your reserve champion is going to be Reed Cobb-Kaler out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, with CGS WW Augusta Pride 51. Congratulations. Next, we're going to go to Class 23, Spring Yearling Heifers, calved March 1st to April 30th. This is going to be Reese Cobb-Kaler out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. She's bringing us Casey Ruby Jean, 184. And then also we're going to have another one by Reed Cobb-Kaler out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Casey Rogue, Iris, 174. And then we're going to have Sarah Allard out of Sidney, Nebraska, bringing us SVCG Red Ruby, 2402R. And then we got Caleb Hall coming out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us CTH Sugar's Perfect Queen. Once again, special thanks to all of our arena sponsors. We got C&B Operations. They've got you covered with all your John Deere needs, whether it be construction, ag, all the way down to a lawnmower, side-by-side. They got it. Also, thanks to Intermountain Heating and Cooling. You can't be cold and you can't be hot, so if you need anything done on that side of things, give them a call. Also, we got Rand's Custom Hats. Whether you're looking to buy a new one or fix up your old one, they got you covered. They're just right down the road. Axiota Animal Health, Humana, Montana Lottery, VitaFirm, Coors Light. Enough said about that. RCIS, Stockman Bank. Tell you what, you can't be in the cattle business without a good banker. We've also got our good friends at Pine Coulee Bulls. They got a bull sale every March down in Hardin, Montana. If that's something you're in the market for, they got a great set of bulls down there. Agribest Feeds, they got a booth right here. You got any questions, go visit with them. Also, we got Transova Genetics, Hemptana, and Stock Show Secrets.
As these kids get these cattle lined back up, the one that wins this particular class, I think does really, really handily. I think this heifer kind of excels and dominates the rest of the lineup, not only from her flexibility, but her added presence and look here from the profile. Young lady's done a good job managing this individual to the best of her ability from a condition standpoint. But I just think, again, her flexibility and added mobility gets her to the front in a hurry. That compelled with the added fact she's just longer and more extended up front and really square and neater off of her hip and hind leg. Young man's got the one that just most resembles our class winner in 2 from a balance standpoint. She's strong and level in terms of her lines and square off of her hip. Where I want to reconstruct that one is just structurally off either end of her skeleton, make her more laid back in the angle of her shoulder, but more critically in my mind, would just need to free her up and loosen her up off of her rear too. The young man in 3 has a better hind leg. That heifer's got more reach with that hind leg. She is more moderate than the heifer we're going to conclude the class with, and I appreciate that about her. Still got more rib shape and design. Would like to reconstruct both of these in their top line. They just his heifer wants to get up a little bit in behind her shoulders. The young lady's heifer really wants to get down in terms of her loin. We just like to make them neater and better balanced here from a phenotypic standpoint.
All righty, well, congratulations to those guys on a lot of good heifers there. 4th is going to be Reese Cobb-Kaler. 3rd is going to be Reed Cobb-Kaler. 2nd is going to be Caleb Hall out of Emmett, Idaho with CTH, Sugar's Perfect Queen. And your champion of that class is going to be Sarah Allard out of Sidney, Nebraska with SVCG Red Ruby 2402R. Next, we're going to roll into Class 24, Junior Yearling Heifers, capped January 1st to February 29th, 2024. We've got Ava McKay out of Sprague, Washington, bringing us GSS Duchess 4201.
Really neat made heifer here in terms of her added freshness and length and extension. Just really, really flexible off either end of her skeleton. She doesn't have nearly the center body capacity and mass performance as a couple of them we've seen just previous in that class, but just still so good looking and so flexible off either end of her skeleton.
Well, congratulations to Ava McKay from Sprague, Washington. She's going to win that class with GSS Duchess 4201. Now we're going to do the yearling female drive right here.
Really nice junior yearling division. Again, the difference isn't just management, type, and kind, but the one that I think it excels and dominates this particular drive is this heifer that's broadside to me here in the middle. The young lady's got just incredible in terms of her front end appearance and presence. Really laid in good at this point of her shoulder and in terms of her rib shape and design. And again, where she just really runs away from the pack is just her ability to get out and go, her correct angle to her shoulder, her flexibility and looseness out of her upper hip. She's going to be your division champion. We'll follow right here with the one that was second to her in terms of just following type and kind of body mass and dimension of performance. Would you please give your hands together for these young individuals? Congratulations.
All righty, your reserve yearling female champion will go to Caleb Hall out of Emmett, Idaho with CTH, Sugar's Perfect Queen. And your yearling female champion is going to be Sarah Allard coming all the way from Sidney, Nebraska with SVCG Red Ruby 2402R. Congratulations, guys. Next, we're going to do our Grand Champion Purebred Shorthorn Female Drive right here.
Here in selection of your champion of reserve Shorthorn females, we got 4 really high quality heifers that the kids have brought out here to us. Lots of differences, and that's fine. We all got different marketing avenues and different genetic pathways that allow us to make a living in this particular business. The heifer calf that come out of that first division, again, we just love her from a structural integrity standpoint. I think she still represents really high quality maternal females. Still looks like a lady up front, has all that rib cage and design to go with it. Really nice individual to represent that age group. I think we got a standout heifer here out of that junior yearling division, and just in terms of high quality presence and balance and phenotypic standout female that we really admire throughout the show, of one that can get out and move with that much reach and authority off either end of her skeleton. To me, she's a dominant champion. We're going to go back up and use the young lady's white heifer for reserve. Outstanding show. Congratulations to these kids.
All righty, your reserve champion of this show is going to be Right Noise Soko Manhattan by Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana. And your grand champion is going to be SVCG Red Ruby 2402 by Sarah Allard out of Sydney, Nebraska. Congratulations, guys. Next, we're going to roll right into our junior showmanship, ages 8 through 14. We're going to come with Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. So we're going to have Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. We're going to have Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana. Cash Landers from Miles City, Montana. Cohen Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana. Ava McKay. We're going to have Emerson Klepp out of Houston, Montana, just in. That's how you say that, is Houston, Montana. And we're going to have Cooper Klepp, also from Houston, Montana. And then we're going to have Cooper Clark from Missoula, Montana.
As we revisit showmanship, I don't want to try to beat a dead horse. I thought we had a great outing yesterday with the fat steer kids and the market heifer kids in terms of showmanship, and got to see some incredibly good talent. And so I don't want to go through some of that the same here for the same people, but the young lady come out of here with this first one, I think, got a heifer that's really attractive, but it may be not the easiest to present. You know, a heifer that young and coming to one of our first shows, that makes it really, really hard to probably get the most miles out of that particular heifer. I'll be the first to admit what I know what you're trying to do there with your stick, and they're getting that heifer's ears forward, but I think those are all distractions away from just being a showman out here. I tell our kids at home, if I catch you blowing in their nose and I catch you doing the stick over their head things, you're going to pay for that one at home. There are multiple different ways to get their alertness and never move your body. The young lady with the white heifer, probably has a challenge in terms of getting a young one stuck, probably the first time to town, but I think is up for that challenge. She does a good job of getting that heifer's feet and getting the most mileage out of her from a presentation standpoint. Really calm, cool, and collected. Young man with the baldy here broadside to us. When she's in the right mindset, she's all right. but she's got you got your hands full there with that one today. Can get a little distracted, and again, the showmanship is all about picking your dancing partner out of your string to come out and get the most amount of miles and with that stick. The young man with the bull, 2 days in a row, he's done a good job of getting that one pulled together and presented. So calm and collected. I didn't even mention this yesterday. I didn't want to go there, but this young man does a great job. I prefer that they hold their hand like this, and you do that. That's one of the little things that I think can propel you to being a more competitive showman long term, and you do that, and I appreciate that, young man. The young lady with this heifer here, again, one of those that's we never could get a look at her in class over here. That heifer's always wanting to dance, and we need to find out whatever that she loves that you can do to her in terms of where you scratch her on her body, whether it's her belly or the base of her chest. We need to get that one parked to get a better look at her. The young man with the baldy bull, I think maybe this is your best stance. I think as we go around the ring, and I know he's stubborn and wanting to drag around a little bit, I think maybe we need to match that, or just as you progress in your show career, find one that'll go with you. I think you look great right here in terms of where your feet and legs, your body posture, etc. But when we get on the go, maybe want to get a little awkward with that. Young lady down here is doing a nice job with this heifer calf. With me today, I think our champion, young man with the bull, and the young lady with the white heifer will be your reserve. Give these kids a big round of applause. They're very deserving.
Congratulations to Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana. She's going to take home your reserve champion showmanship. And first place is going to be Cohen Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana. Congratulations, guys. Next, we're going to roll right into senior showmanship, ages 15 to 21. So we're going to have Megan Avilio from Ronan, Montana. We're going to have Keelan Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana. Sarah Allard out of Sydney, Nebraska. And Caleb Hall out of Emmett, Idaho.
Really a tough competition here among the four of these young youth. We got to evaluate them and see them multiple times here throughout the breed show, and so you kind of have a general idea of their ability before we get in here. It's neat to kind of see their tactics and their maybe their style, their personal style and preferences as we get them back out here. I think the young lady up front, I think we do a nice job, but I think we get a little fast with everything we're doing. If we could just slow it down a gear, take a breath, I think things would come back to maybe fitting together a little bit better in the way we want to put our feet and legs together. Love the style and that the young lady that's got the loud marked upper here has, her calm, collected look. I think as younger kids, we urge eye contact so much to the point where we get to where we're running into people or not paying attention or spacing. I think there's a couple individuals in here that they use peripheral vision to the best of their ability in terms of their eye contact, and I think it is spot on in terms of the way they need to know ring awareness, but yet judge location. Young lady, you probably do as great a job of getting your animals' feet and legs where they need to be. Maybe some things in terms of our posture and just what we do with our hands that I would change. I'd probably slow your stick down about one stroke for every two that you're doing just to calm that heifer down as well. The young man down here on the end has been really, really fault-free, whether we were in the show or here. We got our stick stuck in the heifer, but I know we were trying to help that young lady along. I think he does a good job of always having that heifer's feet and legs where they need to be. Today, the champion for me will be the young lady with the loud marked heifer up here. Young man on the end will be a reserve. Give these kids a big round of applause. Congratulations to all.
All right, your reserve champ showman of this class will be Caleb Hall, and your champion of this class will be Kayleen Cahoon from Charlotte, Montana. Congratulations and nice job. Now we're going to roll right into the Open Shorthorn Plus show. We're going to have a judge switch out. Big thanks to our judge right there, John McCurry out of Hutchinson, Kansas, doing a whale of a job for us. Next, our judge for the Open will be Colton Prescott out of Winchester, Indiana. All righty, we are going to kick that show off in about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes, we'll be coming back to you. Alrighty, again, our judge for this show will be Colton Prescott out of Winchester, Indiana. Thanks to him for coming. Thanks to both of our judges. They've been doing a great job for us. This is going to be the Open Shorthorn Plus Early Spring Bull Calves Capped March. We've got Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana. He's bringing us CHC, Sweethearts Cupid. And then we got Landon Weaver out of Warland, Wyoming, bringing us Thirsty Dirt Buckshot 701N. And we got Landon Weaver again out of Warland, Wyoming with Thirsty Dirt Slugger 702N.
As we start our Shorthorn Plus Open show, I chose to start with the Brockle bull calf first. I think he's just the most rugged, masculine calf in the class. He's square, he's level. He's got just a lot of high quality balance when you get from the side. I think he's a logical place to start. The young lady's red white sox bull is one that I think is long and level, has a lot of breed character to him. Breed characteristics that a guy's got to like. I'd like to square him up in his hip, maybe lay him back in his front end structure just a little bit and clean him up into his chin just a little bit, but a nice quality bull. The calf that rounds off the class, long, level, extended fronted bull, just needs to be fatter overall in his overall condition and squared up in his hip, and just needs a little more time on feet.
All righty, well, congratulations. Our reserve early spring bull calf will go to Landon Weaver out of Warland, Wyoming with Thirsty Dirt Slugger. And our early spring bull calf champion will be Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana with CHC Sweethearts Cupid. Congratulations. We'll roll right into class number 7. It's going to be the Shorthorn Plus late spring yearling bull calves May 1st. We've got Summit Livestock out of Charlotte, Montana. They're bringing us SMMT Endless Fame 40.
as we get this big bull out here, I think he's super athletic whenever you get him on the move. He balances up well when you get from the side. When you get behind him, he's got plenty of shape and muscle. I just think he's a bull that combines a lot of good things. And when you're breeding on these things and trying to go the next generation, I think he puts together a lot of things for a wide range of females. That's a good place. That's a good calf.
You bet you're right there. Summit Livestock's going to win that class with SMMT Endless Fame 40. The good-looking bull calf right there. They're going to win the intermediate champion bull. And then we're going to do the Grand Champion Shorthorn Plus bull drive.
As we get into your champion Shorthorn Plus bull drive, even though the numbers weren't high, I think they're high quality. I think we have a really nice couple individuals that come out of these classes that just combine a lot of functionality and practicality and real good breeding bull type qualities. And I think just a very, very high quality set. I'm not going to talk them forever. They seem like they're getting a little tired. I'll go out here and pick your champion and your reserve, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
All righty, your reserve Grand Champion Shorthorn Plus bull will go to Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana with CHC Sweethearts Cupid. And congratulations, your Grand Champion Shorthorn Plus bull will be Summit Livestock out of Charlotte, Montana with SMMT Endless Fame 40. Congratulations on a nice set of bulls right there. We're going to roll right into Class 13, Shorthorn Plus Early Spring Heifer Calves, calved April 2nd. We got Four Spear Ranch out of Casper, Wyoming, bringing us the Four Spear Mavericks POI. Then we're going to go to Outlaw Cattle Company out of Powell, Wyoming. They're bringing us OCC Grace H511.
as we get out here with our first class of Shorthorn Plus females, I'm going to leave them how they came in. I think the red heifer with a white belly, I think that's a stout, opened up brood cow type female that's got a lot of natural shape and power and dimension when you get on top of her. I think she's one that balances up well from the side. I think she's just got a lot of good to her. I think you'd like to square up in her hip and maybe free her up into her hind leg a little bit and extend her through her front end just a little bit, but that's a nice calf to start. The heifer, the blue roan heifer that starts next, by far the greenest of the two, super feminine up front, very tight in her throat latch and her chest, has a lot of nice feminine qualities, just needs to act a little better and get a little more comfortable when she's moving out of the ring, but she just needs some more time, and I think she'll be very competitive down the road.
All righty, well, congratulations. Second in the class is going to be Outlaw Cattle Company out of Powell, Wyoming, bringing us OCC, Grace H511. And the champion of that class will be Four Spear Ranch out of Casper, Wyoming, bringing us Four Spear Mavericks, POI. Congratulations. Next, we're going to roll into Class 14, Shorthorn Plus, early spring heifer calves, calved in March. We got Tassin Wright from Roberts, Montana, bringing us SMMT Cayenne 503N. And then we got Sokolowski Shorthorns coming out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana, with Soko Blue Magic. And then we've also got another one coming from Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's with Soko Makes Power. And then we got Owen Peer out of Arlee, Montana, bringing us 3-R, Little Bloomin' Cherry. Once again, if you got a loved one that couldn't make it here to watch it, you can watch it live from home at ringsidelive.co. Ringsidelive.co. Also, special thanks to Next Level Images from Mount Pleasant, Texas. If you guys got any pictures you'd like to purchase, they are available online at www.nextlevelimages.com. Again, that's www.nextlevelimages.com.
I think as we get into this class of Shorthorn Plus heifers, I'm going to leave them as they came in, just like the last class. I think this red heifer's one that's just logical to start. She's ultra feminine. She's big bodied. She's square level. She's fresh. As she gets around the move, she's athletic. She has plenty of muscle, and she just has a lot of potential down the road in terms of being a big bred. Now, the blue heifer that comes next, I think one that's bold sprung, has a lot of natural shape when you get on top of her. I think she's maybe not quite as feminine as the heifer that starts the class. She probably needs to be a little laid back in her hock whenever you get her in the move, but one that's a practical, nice heifer calf that has a lot of potential down the road. Now, the red roan heifer is one that I will admit is probably the stoutest, boldest rib, broodiest heifer in the class. It's whenever you get this heifer into motion, she gets a little tighter in her back. She gets a little more up into her tail head. And as she gets moving, it kind of throws her into pieces when she gets on the move, just the way she moves out of her spine. Now, the young man's red brockle heifer is one that's definitely a big outline, long neck type of female that has a lot of good to her, but she's one of those that she gets a little softer behind her shoulder, she gets a little round in her hip, and she needs to be freed up off both ends of her skeleton.
Well, congratulations. Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar bringing us SoCo Blue Magic. They're going to take second in the class. And Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana, bringing us SMMT. Cayenne 503N is going to take home first in class. Next, we're going to go into our final drive of the early spring heifer calf champion and reserve champ.
As we get back out here in our calf champion division of our Shorthorn Plus show, I think there's one that just kind of rises to the top. She combines a lot of good things that I really look for whenever I'm looking for breeding cattle and show heifers. There's one that's just elite in terms of her front end, has more just natural balance, and I think she just kind of comes to the top in terms of her basic build. Now, whenever we go into our reserve, it's going to get a little closer. We just have to sort a little bit in terms of type and kind and really what we're looking for. So I'm going to go out here and select your champion reserve. Please give these kids a round of applause.
Well, congratulations. Your reserve champ is going to be Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana, with Soko Blue Magic. And your champion today is going to be Tassin Wright out of Roberts, Montana, bringing us SMMT Cayenne 503N. Congratulations, guys, on a job well done. Let's go to Class 15. It's going to be Shorthorn Plus Junior Heifer Calves, calved February 20th. We got Tucker Burke coming out of Great Falls, Montana. He's bringing us TB Lollipop. Class 16, Love 'em Cattle Company and Kayleen Cahoon. You guys will be on deck. If you'd want to be ready, that would be great.
As we get this single entry Shorthorn Plus female out here, she's one that's got a lot of natural spread and dimension and muscle when you get behind her. She's got a lot of natural rib shape. She's going to make a really nice brood cow, and this young man's doing a great job coming out here and showing. She's one that just, I'd like to level her out her hip, put her tail head down in her, and maybe free her up off both ends, but that's a very nice heifer for that young man.
Congratulations to Tucker Burke. He's going to win that class with TB Lollipop. Next, we're going to have Love 'em Cattle Company out of St. Ignatius, Montana, bringing us Love MS Miss Royalty. And Kayleen Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana, bringing us SMMT Cookies and Dreams 5. If you guys want to come on in.
As we get here in this class, this young lady's black and white heifer, I think, is a logical place to start. I think she's super feminine up through her front 1/3. She's square and level out of her top line. She balances and transitions very well when you look at the way she just her symmetry. When you get behind her, she's got enough muscle. I wouldn't say she's the most pulled apart heifer that's got the most spread. When you get her out in the ring, I think she moves plenty good enough. I'd like to change her a little bit how she moves in just her hock, but I think that's a very high quality heifer. That's a logical place to start. The young lady's blue roan heifer that comes next, I think another one that's good in her terms of her outline. She's fresh in terms of her condition. She needs just a little more natural shape in terms of her underline. She's stout when you get behind her, and I'd like to change her and maybe give her a little more shape in her lower third. When you get her out in the move, set her back on her knee just a little bit and give her a little square up in her hock and give her just a little more authority on the move. A very nice heifer.
Alrighty, nicely done, ladies. Second place is going to go to Love 'em Cattle Company out of Sadie Nation, Montana, with Love MS Miss Royalty. And your champion of that class will be Keeleen Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana, with SMMT Cookies and Dreams 5 right there. Now we're going to bring him back for the division champion, the junior heifer calf champion, and figure out who's going to be reserved.
As we get these cattle back out here division, I think it's a very nice quality set in this particular age group. I think there's just, again, that pair out of that second class, I think they both match very well. They're both good in their type and kind, both good in terms of their balance and their overall look. We're going to go with the young lady with the black and white heifer for champion and the blue roan heifer for reserve. Please give these kids a round of applause.
All right, your reserve junior heifer calf champion will be Love 'em Cattle Company out of St. Ignatius, Montana, with Love MS Miss Royalty. And your junior heifer calf champion, congratulations, will be Keeleen Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana, with SMMT Cookies and Dreams 5. Congratulations, guys. Next, we're going to go to Class 18 Shorthorn Plus Senior Heifer Calves, calved September 1st through October. We got Cash Landers out of Miles City, Montana, bringing us SMMT Lasting Charm 4.
As we get this brockle-headed female out here, she's a long-made, extended type of female. It's got a lot of really good qualities in terms of just brood cow potential and her overall look. I think she's got a lot of mass, a lot of density out of the top side of her skeleton, and she brings that down to the ground. Now, this heifer is one that I'd like to change her and maybe tidy her up into her chin, maybe free her up off of both ends and just kind of lay her back in her skeleton. But that's a very nice heifer. Congratulations, young man, in that division.
Well, congratulations, Cass Landers. He is going to take home that senior heifer calf champion right there. Next, we're going to roll into Class 20 Shorthorn Plus late summer yearling females calved. We got Cassie Baker out of Charlotte, Montana, bringing us SMMT Sherry's Legacy. We've also got Landon Weaver out of Warland, Wyoming, bringing us Thirsty Dirt Jane's Royalty 6.
As we get these heifers out here in this Shorthorn Plus class, I think we're going to leave them as we brought them in the ring. This black and white heifer is one that balances really well. She's got a lot of natural substance and just really good breeding cattle pieces. She's tidy in terms of her chest and neck and balances really well from her heart to her navel to her underline. She's one that's symmetrical in about every angle you look at her. I think that's a really nice heifer to start and win that division. The red and white heifer that we come up with next, a big bone, stout female. It's got a lot of natural rib shape. She gets a little softer in terms of right behind her shoulder in the middle of her spine. She gets a little more out in her chest. You'd just like to maybe give her a little bit more in her lower third as well. But a very nice, high-quality female. Just wish she would act a little better for this young lady as well. Please give these kids a round of applause.
Hardy, nicely done. Your reserve intermediate champion female will be Landon Weaver out of Warland, Wyoming, with Thirsty Dirt, Jane's Royalty 6. And your intermediate champion female, congratulations, will be Cassie Baker out of Charlotte, Montana, with SMMT Sherry's Legacy. Next, we'll roll into class number 21, Shorthorn Plus Early Spring Yearling Female, calved. We got Maddie Rogers out of Casper, Wyoming, with MSR Sprinkles 4200. And we've got Outlaw Cattle Company from Powell, Wyoming, with OCC Penny H.
As we get these cattle out here in this class and division, I'm going to leave them how they came in. I think the red and white heifer's one that's very bold sprung. She's more pulled apart in terms of her skeleton. She's good and athletic whenever she gets on the move and free and easier moving. I'd like to maybe lengthen her out from her front 1/3 just to make her a shot more feminine and maybe balance her out just a little bit. But I think a very nice individual and one to start the class. Now, the black heifer, if you're going to argue with me and say she is one that's more feminine through her front 1/3 and bigger scaled, I'll absolutely tell you that. But I just think in terms of her whole skeleton, she just needs pulled apart more. She needs to be a little freer and easier moving out of her hind leg. She gets a little sharper in her hock, but a very nice female there as well.
All righty, your reserve early spring champion female will go to Outlaw Cattle Company out of Powell, Wyoming, with OCC Penny H. And your early spring champion female, congratulations, will be Maddie Rogers out of Casper, Wyoming, bringing us MSR Sprinkles 4200. Congratulations. This is going to be Class 24, 2-year-old cow-calf cows born January 1st through August 31st. It's going to be Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana, bringing us HSH Sweetheart.
As we get this cow-calf pair, I think it's a very nice pair here that we look at. I think the mother's very dense made, stout, pulled apart in terms of her general muscle shape. She's good and attractive through her front 1/3. She gets a little tighter in terms of her loin and a little more up in her tailhead, and you'd like to just make her move a little freer and easier out of her hock, but a very nice female there. The bull calf's very exceptional, good in terms of his balance and build, and he's rugged and dense. He's one that is very high quality. He came out here earlier today and did a very nice job. It's a very nice pair.
Well, congratulations, Cooper Clark out of Missoula, Montana, with HSH Sweetheart. You're going to be our champion cow-calf pair. Now we're going to start the Grand Champion Shorthorn Plus female drive. We're going to have Tassin Wright, Keelan Calhoun, Cash Landers, Cassie Baker, Maddie Rogers, Cooper Clark, Sokolowski Shorthorns, Love 'em Cattle Co., Landon Weaver, and Outlaw Cattle Co.
I think as we get out here in our champion Shorthorn Plus drive, I think it's an extremely deep set. I think there's some very high quality individuals in here, and I think all these kids should be pretty proud of their animals that they brought and exhibited today. Now, I will tell you, there's one that I think kind of rises to the top pretty easily, and then there's a pair of them that we kind of got to sort through and kind of decide, okay, where are we going to be? Which one kind of sorts herself from the other? And I think that's close. I think it's one that you kind of have to take a little bit of preference and kind of break them down and really look and see where you want to be. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to pick your champion reserve. Please give these kids a round of applause.
All righty, your reserve champ.
The reserve champion is this.
So your reserve champ will be SMMT, Cookies and Dreams by Kayleen Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana. And your champion will be Cherry's Legacy by Cassie Baker out of Charlotte. Congratulations to those guys. Next, we're going to go to Class 26, late spring bull calves, calved on or after May 1st. I got CB Shorthorns LLC out of Eagle, Idaho. They're bringing us CB/S Western Bronx 1.
as we get into our Shorthorn Bull show, I think this is a nice place to start. I think he's a bull that's rugged in his design. He's very masculine in terms of his build. I think whenever you get behind him, he's got some shape. He's got some dimension. He's got some skeletal width. I think he's got some feature in terms of his foot and bone. I think he's one that whenever he gets out in the move and actually relaxes for the young lady, I think he's good in terms of his basic build. I'd like to maybe lay him back in his knee just a little bit, maybe smoothing him up in his chest, but that's a very nice bull, young lady.
Well, congratulations there to CB Shorthorns with CBS Western Bronx 1. Nicely done. You will win that class. She is the late spring bull calf champion. Next, we're going to move to class 27. Early spring bull calves calved March 1st to April 30th of 2025. We got Emily Wild out of McKinion, Wyoming. She's bringing us Wild Down Under B10. Then we got the Four Spear Ranch coming out of Casper, Wyoming. They're going to bring us Four Spear, Doc Holliday. And then we've got Curtis Genetics out of Madrid, Nebraska, bringing us WSC Reality Check 24. And then we got Outlaw Cattle Company out of bringing us OCC Power Broker 502.
As we get into this class of Shorthorn bulls, I think this bull's quite exceptional. I think he's just good in terms of his basic build. He's attractive through his front end. I love the swoop and the shape he brings from the side, just how he balances up. I like how he gets out and goes. He's super athletic. He's square made. I love his body length, and it just kind of ties it all together. When you get behind him, I think he's adequate enough in terms of his muscle shape. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's the stoutest thing that I've ever seen in the world. But in terms of his basic build, his potential breeding on, I think that's a very high quality bull that needs to start the class. The young ladies, or the young woman's bull that comes next, I think he's one that's stout and dense. I mean, is he as big as maybe the bull behind him? Probably not. But I think he's one that's got some natural shape. I think he's masculine. He gets around good enough. I'm not saying he's perfect. You'd like to change him how he moves out of his hip and hind leg and maybe lengthen out his hip just a little bit. But that's a high-quality bull that needs to follow the bull that wins the class. Now, the bull that comes next, is he a bigger framed, more extended type of calf? Yes. He's got some natural rib shape. He's got some stuff like that. But whenever you get in front of it, you study him in from front and behind, you'd like to just pull him apart in terms of his general skeletal width and power. Just power him up and maybe make him a little more masculine. And when you get him in motion, I'd like to set him back in his skeletal angles on front and rear. I think that's a nice bull, very extended and good looking. Now the bull that comes next, he's one that's got some density. He's got some masculinity. He just is the pounds light bull in the class. He needs a little more mass, a little more feature in terms of bone, foot and bone, but one that gets out and goes with ease. Just needs be a little bit more of him today.
All righty, well, congratulations. Your reserve early spring bull calf champion will be Four Spear Ranch out of Casper, Wyoming, with Four Spear Doc Holliday. And your early spring bull calf champion will be Curtis Genetics out of Madrid, Nebraska, with WSC Reality Check 24. Congratulations, guys. We're going to roll right into class number 28, Junior Bull Calves, calved January 1st through February 28th of 2025. We've got Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana, with Soko Perfect Como. And we've got Lovem Cattle Company out of St. Ignatius, Montana, with Lovem MS Haygood Lou.
As we get in this class of Shorthorn bulls, I'm going to leave them as they came in. I think the bull that starts off the class is one that's extra dense. He's got a lot of natural power and shape from front to rear, or front natural shape out of the backside of his blade. When this young man gets him set up, he's got a really nice side profile. He flows well. He balances and just has a really good look to him. I'd like to maybe clean him up in terms of his crest just a little bit and maybe lengthen him out in terms of his front end. And as he gets on the move, he hinges just a little bit in terms of his hip and out of his hock. But that's a very nice bull to start the class. Now, the young lady's red roan bull calf is one that's extremely attractive from his front end. He gives you a lot of natural rib shape. Today, he's just a little full. I think that's kind of hindering how he moves and affects just the way he moves out of his back, too. I'd like to free him up and change him into his hock. There just needs to be more natural mass and density in terms of foot and bone work for me to get him around that calf that starts off. Very nice set of bulls. We'll move on.
You betcha. Very good set of bulls right there. Your reserve junior bull calf champion will be Lovem Cattle Company out of St. Ignatius, Montana, bringing us Love MS Hagen Lou. And your junior bull calf champion goes to Sokolowski Shorthorns, just a little ways east of here, Pompey's Pillar, Montana, with Soko Perfect Como. They're going to win the junior bull calf champion. Congratulations. We're going to go to Class 30. Senior bull calves count September 1st through October 31st. We've got Peakview Ranch Incorporated out of Fowler, Colorado, and they're bringing us Peakview Absolute Value.
As we get into this fall-born class of Shorthorn bulls, I think that's a very high-quality individual that came in the ring. I think he's masculine. I love whenever you get behind him how much natural shape he becomes from front to rear. He's square whenever gets on the move. He's square in terms of his skeletal angles, and he transitions well at all angles when you look at him. I think that's a high-quality bull that brings a lot of quality. I look forward to getting him back out here and seeing what he looks at with his contemporaries.
Well, congratulations, Peakview Ranch out of Fowler, Colorado, bringing us Peaksview Absolute Value. They're going to win that class. Going to be the senior bull calf champion right there. We're going to go to the Class 32 late spring yearling bull calves. Bulls calved, rather, May 1st through June 30th, 2024. Summit Livestock out of Charlotte, Montana. They're bringing us SMMT 407M right here.
as we get into this class of Shorthorn bulls, I think one that's long and level and streamlined in terms of his look and how he kind of transitions from the side. He's one that I think is very good and youthful in terms of his front end for being a more mature bull. He's one that I think whenever you get him on the move, I'd like him just to move with a little bit more ease and authority on his hind leg. Just makes him a skosh more athletic whenever he gets on the go. Now, he's a bull that is kind of deceiving because when you look from him from the side, he looks kind of flat. You get behind him, there's actually some natural width. There's some shape and dimension. Would you like to give him just a little more top shape and maybe a little more spread up high? Absolutely, but I think that's a high-quality bull.
All righty, there you have it. Congratulations, Summit Livestock out of Charlotte, Montana, bringing us SMMT 407M. That's your intermediate champion bull right now. Now we're going to go right into the final drive here. We've got CBS Western Bronx by CB Shorthorns out of Eagle, Idaho. We got WSC Reality Check by Curtis Genetics from Madrid, Nebraska. SoCo Perfect Como by Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana. Peak View Absolute Value by Peak View Ranch out of Fowler, Colorado. We got SMMT 407M by Summit Livestock out of Charlotte, Montana. And Four Spear Doc Holiday by Four Spear Ranch out of Casper, Wyoming. And Love MS, Hey Good Looking by Lovin' 'em Cattle Co. out of St. Ignatius, Montana.
I'm not going to take all day on these Shorthorn bulls. I know some of these cattle are getting tired, and obviously we've seen a few of them try to lay down the ring. So I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase when we're going through this. I think it's a three-horse race. I think there's three of them that they're all different in their types and kind, different types of build. And I think you just have to appreciate them for the cattle they are. I think there's cattle with some muscle, some density, some balance, and some just quality in terms of their basic build and overall look. And I think we just need to go through and kind of prioritize, kind of see what bulls kind of match in terms of just quality and overall basic build is what I'm kind of going for and looking at. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to pick your champion reserve. Please give these exhibitors a round of applause.
Alrighty, here's how that shook out. Your reserve purebred Shorthorn bull is going to go to Peakview Ranch Incorporated out of Fowler, Colorado. Peakview Absolute Value is the animal they brought today. Congratulations. And a big congrats to our grand champion purebred Shorthorn bull. That's going to go to Curtis Genetics out of Madrid, Nebraska with WSC Reality Check 24. Congratulations, guys, on a great pin of bulls right there. Let's roll into Class 38. It's going to be your early spring heifer calves, calved April 2025. We've got Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. They're bringing us RRCC Raylin 5096. And also we got CB Shorthorns LLC out of Eagle, Idaho, bringing us CBS Miss Olympia 127.
As we get out here in our first class of Shorthorn heifers, I think these are two heifers that vary in their type and kind, and I think you just kind of have to sort through and kind of prioritize where you want to lay on them. And I think it's basic build that sorts the red roan heifer to the top. She's good in terms of her rib shape. She's short in terms of her body. She gets out and flexes and is athletic whenever she gets on the go. Is she tidy? She's tidy through her chin and her chest. Would I like to lengthen her out and maybe make her just a shot more feminine whenever we're deciding the pair? Absolutely. But I think basic build and just her flexibility is what sorts her to the top. Now, if you're going to argue with me and tell me the heifer that comes in second is the bigger outline, more feminine, longer neck female, I'm not going to argue with you. I think she's got a lot of natural shape up high and brings a lot of natural density in terms of pin width and power. But I think she's one that whenever you get her in the move, she gets a little more upright in terms of the point of her shoulder to her knee, and she gets just pinches a little bit in her stifle whenever she gets on the move. So just her, I'd like to free her up off both sides of her skeleton to move her up in the class.
All righty, well, here's how that shook out. CB Shorthorns out of Eagle, Idaho with CBS Miss Olympia 127. They're going to finish second in that class. And Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. Bringing us RRCC Raylene 5096. They're going to win the class. Congratulations, guys. Let's roll to class 39. That's going to be early spring heifer calves, calved March of 2025. We got Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana. They're bringing us SoCo Perfections NOI.
As we get in this single entry Shorthorn heifer class, I think this white heifer is a very high quality individual. She's one that's got a lot of natural mass and power from nose to tail. She balances well, has a lot of natural rib shape in the up top and down low. She's one that gets around with fairly ease. Wish you'd cooperate just a little bit better so I can really get a good read on her structure. But I think that's a high quality female that could withstand some more competition.
You betcha. That's Shiner and a new penny right there. Congratulations to Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana, just east of here. Bringing us SoCo Perfections NOI. What a good-looking one right there. Now we're going to come in for this early spring heifer calf final drive right here.
As we get these class winners back here in this division, I think they pair up quite well. I think, as you see, the numbers weren't huge, but the quality was good in both these classes. I just think there's one that kind of sorts herself at the top. That's kind of the combination heifer that puts a lot of good things together. We're going to start off with the white heifer as your champion, and reserve will be the red roan heifer out of the first class.
All righty, your reserve early spring heifer calf champion will be Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming, bringing us RRCC Raylene 5096. And congratulations, your early spring heifer calf champion will be Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana, bringing us SoCo Perfections NOI. Congratulations, guys, on a good pin of heifers right there. We're going to move to Class 40. That's going to be junior heifer calves, calved February of 2025. Starting off, we got Sokolowski Shorthorns bringing us SoCo Miss Mogul. And then we also got a couple other Sokolowski Shorthorns bringing us SoCo Mogul's Princess. And then SoCo Mogul's Princess as well. And Peak View Ranch out of Fowler, Colorado. They're bringing us Peak View Belladonna 2520.
As we get out here in this Shorthorn class, there's a lot of different types and kinds and kind of ways you need to look at things. I choose to start with the redneck roan female, as she's the one that's probably the most elegant and feminine up through her front 1/3. And when you get off the side, she gives you a nice, long, square look. She's good in terms of her rib cage and adequate in terms of her muscle. When you get her in the move, I think she moves really well off her front end. I'd like to maybe free her off just out of her hock just a little bit, but I think that calf is very, very high quality and one that gives you a really good look from the side. Now, the white heifer that we start off next is one that's extended through her front 1/3. She's got a lot of natural mass and power. She's one that I'd like to change and set her down in her tail head just a little bit. And whenever you get her in motion, just kind of set her back in her hock just a little bit more and free her up just as she gets a little hingy whenever you get her on the move. But a very nice, high-quality female. The white heifer that comes next, very highly presented, one that's got a lot of natural look whenever you take a look at her, but one that you'd like to maybe extend her through her front 1/3, open her up in terms of her whole skeleton, lengthen her hip out, and just give her a little more natural mass, but a very high-quality female. The heifer that comes next, one that's just a really good practical type of female. I think when she gets out and moves, she's athletic. I think she gets a little higher in her tail head, and she gets a little plainer in terms of her head shape and lower at the top side of her shoulder. But one that's got some mass and dimension will make a very nice brood cow for this young lady.
All righty, congratulations. Your reserve junior heifer calf champion goes to Sokolowski Shorthorn just east of here at Pompey's Pillar, Montana. Bringing us the good one of SoCo Miss Mogul. And congratulations to our junior heifer calf champion. That's going to go to Peakview Ranch Incorporated out of Fowler, Colorado. Bringing us Peakview Belladonna 2520. Congratulations, guys. Let's roll to Class 42. That's going to be winter heifer calves, calved November 1st through December 31st of 2024. We've got Carrie Cobb out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, bringing us CGS Mavericks Miss Alley 52.
As we get into the single entry class, I think a very high quality female that's very attractive from the side. I think she's long and level. I think whenever you get her in motion, she's athletic and she gets around really well. I think she's one that when you get behind her, you'd like to square up from her hooks to her pins and probably just give her a little bit more natural rib shape and body to really get just a little more natural volume on her. But that's a very high quality class winner.
Congratulations to Carrie Cobb of Cheyenne, Wyoming, bringing us CGS Mavericks Miss Alley 52. You're going to win that class. We're going to go to Class 43, Senior Heifer Calves, calved September 1st through October 2024. We got Bag Farms, LLC, out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us Bag Cinnamon's White, PE. Also, we have a set of keys that were found in the wash bay and they got turned in. They go to a GMC SUV of some type. If that fits the description of something you're missing, you can pick it up here for a little while, and then otherwise we're going to run it down to the livestock office. So if you are missing a set of keys to a GMC SUV, I do have them up here at the announcer stand for now, and then they are going to go to the livestock office.
As we get into the single entry class, I think a nice female to be in here. One that Balances really well from the side. I think she's really good in terms of her front end structure. One thing I think as you get behind her, you'd like to maybe just add just a little more mass and volume to her, and just add a little bit more natural shape from her heart to her navel to her udder. I think that would help her balance just up a little more. I think a high quality individual that comes out here and does a very nice job for this gentleman.
Well, nicely done. Nicely done. Bag Farms out of Emmett, Idaho is going to win that class with Bag Cinnamons White PE. Next, we're going to move to Class 45, late spring yearling females, calved May 1st. Excuse me, we're going to do the final drive before we move on. Hold on.
Good. As we get back here in this division, I think it's growth, performance, and overall mass that sorts this. I think whenever we get out here, there's two different individuals. They're different in types of kind. They different in kind of their size and shape. I think there's one that just kind of outpowers the other one. And we're going to start with the heifer out of the first class for champion, and the white heifer will be reserved. Thank you.
Congratulations to our champion, Carrie Cobb out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, bringing us CGS Mavericks Miss Alley 52. And your reserve champ's going to be Bag Farms LLC out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us Bag Cinnamons White PE. Congratulations, guys, on a good set of heifers right there. We're going to move to Class 45, late spring yearling females, calved May 1st through June 30th. We're going to have Outlaw Cattle Company out of Powell, Wyoming, bringing us Miss Ruth 491. And we got Bag Farms LLC out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us Care Max Rosa LL 2415.
as we get out here in this class and division, I think a couple of heifers that are very high quality in their type and kind. They're different in terms of their basic build, but I think they're both high quality. We're going to start off with the heifer in the black and or the red and white heifer first. She's the higher performing heifer that's got a lot more natural mass and power and shape, and she's bold in terms of her rib shape. She's good in terms of her skeleton and bone and footwork. I think she's just one that kind of sorts herself to the top just because she's the higher performing, more massive type female that's got a lot more brood cow potential. Now, I will tell you, the heifer that comes in second is one that's long, lean, and level, and she's one that's got a lot of natural rib shape. But whenever you kind of look at her from the front angle and from behind, she just gets a little too narrow for me. She's one that I think we need to open up her skeleton and give her some more general width and dimension to move up any higher in this class.
All righty, well, your reserve intermediate champion female goes to Outlaw Cattle Company out of Powell, Wyoming, bringing us Missy Ruth 491. And your intermediate champion female goes to Bag Farms LLC out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us Care Max Rosa LL 2415. Congratulations, guys. Let's roll right into class number 46. It's going to be an early spring yearling females calved March 1st through April 30th. We got Carrie Cobb out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, bringing us KC Rogue Iris 174. We got Sarah Ellard out of Sidney, Nebraska, bringing us SVCG Red Ruby 2402R. And we got Caleb Hall out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us CTH Sugar's Perfect Queen.
As we get out here in this class, I think there's one that's just a pretty logical place to start. I think that thing's extremely feminine through her front end. She comes back with a lot of shape and power and dimension when you get on her. She's got a lot of natural rib shape, and she's square and straight lined. And when you get her in motion, she doesn't disappoint. She gets out, she flexes, she hits her holes. When you get behind her, she's got some natural mass and power. I think that's just one that you got to start with ease. As we go into this pair of heifers, next, I think there's just some difference in types and kinds. I think the red roan heifer here in the back, I think she's just got more natural mass and power. Would I like her to move with a little more flexibility in her hip and hind leg and lengthen her hip out some? Absolutely. She gets a little plainer in terms of her jaw and her chest, but I think that's one that's got just a lot of natural brood cow like power and dimension and a lot of natural balance when you get from the side. Now, the heifer that comes out in third, I think, is one that's very balanced and good in her muscle shape. She's one that I just like to level her hip out, tuck her up in her chest, and just give her a little more natural mass and power and free her up off both ends.
All righty, well, congratulations. Your reserve early spring champion female is going to go to Caleb Hall out of Emmett, Idaho, bringing us CTH, Sugar's Perfect Queen. And congratulations, your early spring champion female goes to Sarah Allard out of City, Nebraska, bringing us SVCG Red Ruby 2402R. Next, we're going to roll into Class 47, Junior Yearling Females Cab, January 1st through February 29th of 2024. We got Ava McKay from Sprague, Washington, bringing us GSS Duchess 4201. We got Sokolowski Shorthorns out of Pompey's Pillar, Montana, bringing us Marquise Jazz. Another Sokolowski Shorthorn, bringing us SoCo Perfect Freckles. And we got Landon Weaver out of Warland, Wyoming, bringing us AFVF Margie's World. And then we got Curtis Genetics out of Madrid, Nebraska, bringing us SVCG Mona Lisa 2402M right there. I'm assuming they all have nicknames for these ones.
As we get into this class, I'm going to start off with this red heifer right here. I think that's probably the leanest, freshest heifer in this class. It's got a lot of natural body and genuine rib shape. When you get behind her, she's got some skeletal width, and I think whenever she gets out on the move, she's the most flexible and pliable off both ends. Now, if you are going to tell me the red-necked roan heifer is the stoutest, most opened-up heifer, I'm not going to argue with you. I think she's got a lot of natural shape and muscle whenever you get behind her. I think she's also one that's a little stale in her condition. I think she's holding a little bit more chest with us today, and we'd just like to add a little bit more natural shape from from front to rear in terms of her underline. I think that's a high-quality, stout-made female that needs to go second. The heifer that comes next, the red female, is one that's got some natural muscle and power. She's one that's, again, for me, just a little bit overdone. I think she's got a lot of rib shape and some good brood cow potential and muscle. She's just one that needs freshened up and make a little more athletic and maybe add a little bit more natural foot and bone on that female. The heifer that comes next is one that's level, long, and feminine up front. She's one that's just carrying a little bit more chest, and I think it affects her balance, and it makes her go, her chest needs to be tucked up, and it'll help her balance a lot. She needs to act a little bit better. She's being a little ornery for this lady right now, and she's one that I think just needs to be moved a little bit better off her front end.
All righty, well, congratulations. Here's how that shook out. Reserve Junior Champion Female goes to Sokolowski Shorthorns. Right east to here at Pompey's Pillar, Montana, bringing us SoCo Perfect Freckles. And your Junior Champion Female, congratulations, is going to be Ava McKay from Sprague, Washington, bringing us GSS Duchess 4201. Congratulations to those guys. We are going to move right into Class 49. The 2-year-old cow-calf cows born from January 1st to August 31st. We got Emily Wild from McKinnon, Wyoming, bringing us Wild Demi's Constitution. And then we've got another one from Emily Wild out of McKinnon, Wyoming, bringing us 2G Demi 3H11TSET.
As we get this cow-calf pair out here, I think it's one that's a very attractive female that's level in her top line, has a lot of natural shape, and is bold in terms of her rib shape. She's one that gets around and goes with some athleticism. She's got some natural mass and power when you get behind her. I think it's one that's a very high-quality cow-calf pair. That'll be interesting when we get out here with the rest of our heifers.
You betcha, good-looking pair right there. Congrats to Emily Wild out of McKinnon, Wyoming. You guys will win the class right there. Next, we're going to bring in CB Shorthorns out of Eagle, Idaho, bringing us CB/S Western Bell 11.
As we get this pair out here, I think it's a high-quality female that's extremely feminine up through her front 1/3. I think she's good in terms of her basic build. She's level, she's square, she's good in her body calf. The bull calf that comes with her, I think, is a high-quality individual that's got a lot of potential. One thing that I see that I'd like to really change on this female is maybe square up her udder and her tip placement just a little bit, but I think that's a high-quality female.
Nice job to CB Shorthorns. You guys are going to win that class with CBS Western Bell. We'll bring in that pair from the last class, and we'll figure out who's going to be champ, who's going to be reserve.
as we get back out here in this cow-calf division, I think there's two very high-quality females that are both ultra-feminine and good-looking and have just good practical parts and pieces. I think it's just the frame, the size, the power, and the dimension of the heifer of the red cow that sorts over the red necked roan cow. The red cow will be your champion. The red neck roan will be reserve.
Well, congratulations to our reserve cow-calf pair. We'll go to Emily Wild out of McKinion, Wyoming, bringing Wild Demi's Constitution. And your grand champion cow-calf pair will be CB Shorthorns out of Eagle, Idaho, bringing a CBS Western Bell. Congratulations, guys, on a good set of pairs right there. Now we're going to get ready for this final drive here. We got SoCo Perfections, NOI by Sokolowski Shorthorns, Peakview Belladonna by Peakview Ranch, CGS Mavericks Miss Alley by Carrie Cobb. We got Care Max Rosa LL 2415 by Bag Farms. We got SV CG Red Ruby by Sarah Aldred. We got GSS Duchess by Ava McKay. We got CBS Western Bell by CB Shorthorns. We got RRCC Raylin by Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. We got SoCo Miss Mogul by Sokolowski Shorthorns. We got Bag Cinnamons White by Bag Farms. We got Miss Ruth 491 by Outlaw Cattle Co. We got CTH Sugars Perfect Queen by Caleb Hall. We got SoCo Perfect Freckles by Sokolowski Shorthorns. And then we got one by Emily Wild as well. Not to beat a dead horse, but I tell you what, we couldn't do this without our sponsors, so we do want to thank all of our good arena sponsors here. We've got Hemptana, C&B Operations for all your John Deere needs, Intermountain Heating and Air Conditioning. Tell you what, they got you covered in the summer. They got you covered in the wintertime as well. Rand's Custom Hats, Axiota Animal Health, Humana, Montana Lottery, VitaFirm, Coors Light, HB Feeds, Western Ranch Supply, Pine Coulee Bulls, Stockman Bank, Agribest Feeds, Transova Genetics, and Stock Show Secrets. Also, we want to thank Next Level Images out of Mount Pleasant, Texas, for doing a good job and getting all these photos and memories captured for today. Check them out at www.nextlevelimages.com if you want to order some photos. Also, all week we'll be, you can watch live. If you got family members at home that weren't able to make it, they can watch it live from home at ringsidelive.co. Also, friendly reminder to all of our Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vest. And special thanks to our friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these awards. Wouldn't be possible without you.
As we get into this champion drive, I think it's a very extremely high-quality set of females in here that I think everybody that exhibited should be proud of. I want to have everybody please give these exhibitors a round of applause, please. As we go through here in our grand drive, I think there's a handful of them that kind of I think just really hit me. I think there's one individual in particular that I think just ties in everything that I look for and believe in whenever I'm looking at Shorthorn females. I kind of grew up in the breed, and it's kind of where I started. So it's one of those things that I kind of have a passion for it and always will. I think there's one female out here, again, that just ties together femininity, power, brood cow potential, and I think it'll be a really extremely interesting breeding piece in the future. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to select your champion. Then following it up, I think there's a couple of them that I kind of have to look at that have some potential and have some look, that have some potential for long term to really go out there and compete in the future as well. So I'm going to go out here and I'm going to pick your champion in reserve. Please give all these exhibitors, again, a round of applause. Thank you.
All righty, congratulations to our reserve champion purebred Shorthorn female. That's going to go to Peakview Belladonna by Peakview Ranch out of Fowler, Colorado. And our champion, congratulations, our grand champion purebred Shorthorn female will go to SVCG Red Ruby by Sarah Allred out of Sidney, Nebraska. And that will conclude our shows today. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and playing in the sawdust with us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Our show will start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we also have a judging competition that's going to start at 6:30 in the morning as well. So we hope to see you tomorrow. A lot of exciting things, a lot of good shows going on tomorrow. Once again, we want to thank all of our sponsors and everyone who made this